The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
This episode and every episode of the Short Time Wrestling Podcast was brought to you by the generous and awesome support of listeners like you. Do your part and go to mattalkonline.com/join the team and make your monthly pledge. You'll get some cool rewards and perks like access to my Mat Talk Online statistical almanac, digital preview guides, and even some cool swag like shirts, hats, and pint glasses. mattalkonline.com/join the team. And welcome back again to the Short Time Wrestling Podcast, wrestling fans. My name is Jason Bryant with you, bringing you news, reviews, previews, and interviews with all the most notable and relevant topics in the sport of wrestling. Oh boy, good week of shows, past and present, here on the Mat Talk Podcast Network. Today on this program, Chance Marsteller. He's got an interesting story to tell, and we let him tell it here on the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. Other shows that we've seen here on the network in the past couple days with NCAA champions Drew Foster of Northern Iowa. That was on this program. Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling had Mekhi Lewis, the first national champion in school history for the Hokies. And on the mat with Kyle Klingman and Andy Hamilton had Anthony Ashnault from Rutgers. Upcoming episodes we'll talk to Tony Hager from Takedown Wrestling. We'll also talk to Josh Roden from Clackamas Community College as they've got a national championship. We have not had a chance to come back and circle back on the junior college wrestling scene. We've also got some good stuff with the World Wrestling Resource forthcoming and working on getting the rest of those NCAA champions here on the network. Before I head to China on April 19th, I'll be out there doing the color commentary for the Asian Championships with, the opportunity to maybe be seen or heard by a billion people is kind of interesting. So this show, Chance Marsteller will tell his story. I'm not going to berate you with beat you over the head with calls to action and things, but I do want to thank Scott Legacy, head wrestling coach at Castleton up in Vermont. That's a Division III program in their second year of competition. Coach Legacy is the latest patron. He's the latest team member of the Mat Talk Podcast Network. So there's his shout out. That's one of the things you get as a perk. You heard it at the start of the program. mattalkonline.com/join the team. And wrestling season does not end ever. Ask any coach's wife, or ask my wife, as a matter of fact. The news doesn't stop either. And with that news, you can get daily curated wrestling news sent to your wrestling inbox. Your inbox, of course, if you're a wrestling person, it's always going to be a wrestling inbox sent right to your email each and every morning for free by going to mattalkonline.com/news. That is curated news. It's got all the relevant links from pretty much, it's brand agnostic. So it's not like I'm picking favorites. If it's good and it's worth reading, I'll put it in there. And it's got, stuff from Flow, from Track, from themat.com. But then I also go deeper. You've also got some of the relevant press releases, but I even go deeper than that. Digging through all the website links that I can find with news from around the world. If there's a coach going into the Hall of Fame in like Massachusetts, I can find that. If there's drama from the Indian Wrestling Federation, because there's been drama from the Indian Wrestling Federation. You can find all that type of stuff. Anything that's relevant that I can find, I read through it, I curate it. I'm like, yep, that's something that, if it's a couple paragraphs long, but it's got a news, a nugget, something that's really worth sharing, that's where I put it in. I do it for you. It is not a bot. It's not automated. I'm clicking these things in here. I'm making sure that these are like, sometimes there's 10 stories, sometimes there's 30. But those are the stories you're going to want to read each and every morning, delivered for free. mattalkonline.com/news. Sign up. It's going to change your morning. That said, this interview might change your perspective and your morning or your afternoon whenever you listen to it, as we release it on April 9th, 2019. This is Chance Marsteller, two-time All-American from Lock Haven, and he tells his story here on the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. As always, I'd like to thank you for spending your time with me, because you've always got time for short time. And cue the swoosh. And now joining us on the Short Time Wrestling Podcast, two-time All-American from Lock Haven University of Pennsylvania with The Rise. It is Chance Marsteller. Chance, we've known each other a long time, man. First time you've actually been on the program. How you been? Obviously pretty good, right?
Yes, sir. Pretty good. Coming off national tournament, getting ready for the U.S. Open. Been doing a lot of running around since nationals, trying to get the next step figured out. But I'd say overall pretty well.
So you're just coming
Thanks for
back
having
from
me on.
you're just coming back from Blacksburg, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. Took a trip out to Lehigh and a trip to Blacksburg. Um, I actually committed to wrestle with Lehigh Valley. I have to finish up some paperwork with them here in the next day or two. But I committed to wrestle for the Lehigh Valley, and I'm actually finishing up some paperwork with Adidas right now.
So there's no slowing down for you coming off, your third place performance at 165 pounds. And then, you've always been a freestyle guy. So, there's no rest time, right? You're just getting right to it.
Yes, sir. No, I mean, you can't really take a break at this point in time. You got to get ready for the next step. And you can't really, you got to just keep moving forward. There's no really time to relax. Coach Moore and I kind of laughed, after the Nationals. He was in his office the very next day, making phone calls, getting after it. And, it's just one thing we kind of talked about. Like, this is the time to just capitalize on other people right now.
Well, we'll get to the international career and your future wrestling, but to tell your story, there's a lot of things that go into it. I mean, if it were a Hollywood movie, there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of, I think the word redemption has been thrown around quite a bit, and of course, a pun off your nickname, Chance. And it's a nickname. Your given name is Chandler.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, my mom she wanted to name me Chance at the time. Just didn't think it looked right on the birth certificate or with my middle name. So she wanted Chandler, but it's always called me Chance.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. It's like Harry Lester. His name is like Justin Deshaun Lester. It's not Harry.
Right. Actually, I'm going out to see Harry Lester this weekend. So, yeah, it's funny. You always go by name when you're little in a bracket. Then when you're older and you have to, have like you give a name put in a bracket or something. You're like, who's this guy? This is a different guy, or who is it? But yeah, it's Chance, Chandler, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's one of those things like when you were at Oklahoma State, you're like, no, are they confusing him with Chandler Rogers?
Right. Yeah.
All right, to circle back on your story, I first heard of you, when you're in middle school, you're basically cracking everybody's heads through Pennsylvania. And then, we know about Chance Marsteller in Pennsylvania. This kid's going to be good. He works out, he works out with Colat. He's the next big thing. And then you enter the Penn State Open in the middle school as a middle schooler. Whose idea was that? And why did you go for that?
Oh, it was my idea. My parents and I had talked, and at the time it was really tough to find, good competition. Most of the guys in my weight class that were good or anywhere in the area, I was scoring, 20 some points a match or something. So, you got high school season going on. It's not like you can go compete in a high school season in December or, in Pennsylvania, you can't compete in high school like you could out in Minnesota, or a couple other states. But, so, I mean, it was just, hey, just go wrestle some matches to see where you're at. And that's basically all it was just wrestling some matches. So, they're the same weight as you, maybe physically a little more mature, but same weight, wrestling. And, what's the worst thing that can happen? You lose. So that was the mindset behind that.
Well, there is the worst thing that could happen is you probably you could get hurt. I mean, if you you could run into some serious man shot. Well, you're a 25 pounder or 33 pound. What weight did you enter that year?
133.
Okay, so you're a 133 pound eighth grader wrestling against essentially grown men, and you won a match. You won a match, didn't you?
Yes, it did. Yep.
Oh my goodness, this is so that kind of goes to the lore of the hype machine coming out. I mean, you're wrestling college opens in middle school, winning matches, and I guess that kind of builds that lore that surrounded you. And at what point, I guess, I mean, we're skipping a lot about how you got started in wrestling. I mean, it's kind of picking up where it is. But when you're entering high school, was that pressure just already apparent because you had been so good at the youth level?
I mean, I think it was, and then having that whole backstory with wrestling, growing up with Colat and being a PA guy, a 4-time undefeated guy. I mean, everybody wants to make a story out of something, but I mean, again, like I said with college, you put your own pressure on yourself. I mean, I just want to go win every time I'm on the mat. I want to go put points up and, I honestly like the pressure. Like, the more there is, the better. The more there is, the bigger the focus is, the more people I can watch. Like the more fun it is. Um, more fun. So yeah, I guess that pressure was there, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I welcomed it. Uh, uh, I don't think there's any reason not to, right? Like, being in that scenario, it's fun. Not everybody's given that chance to be in that scenario. So when I was, you just take advantage of it, you soak it up. And honestly, I mean, I think it gives you this. You can roll a couple of different ways. It can either give you the utmost confidence, or it can break you. So I think going into high school, it gave me that confidence. So.
All right, so now we can back the train up. So we know we've got the pressure set. We've got some of your middle school accolades, but now I do want to dial it back to when you first get on the mat. This was a story when it came out a couple years ago that Greco-Roman wrestler Johnny Stefanowicz was your older brother. I follow wrestling pretty well. Didn't even know that, and that was like kind of the first realization a lot of people had. And I remember talking to him in Paris at the World Championships, and we're sitting in a restaurant talking. I was like, dude, how did nobody know that? But what was that introduction like to wrestling, and how did he really get you involved, and how old were you?
My uncle wrestled when he was in high school out in South Dakota, so I told my mom to put my brother into wrestling, and then my mom put me into wrestling. I don't think my brother quite got me involved. I think he just wrestled or something that my mom had him do, and then something she had me do, and then my uncle actually moved up and PA and kind of worked with us when we were younger, and I basically told him I hated wrestling. I don't know why I'm doing it. I didn't win a match. I was pretty bad. I was a little fat kid. I was like a bantam heavyweight, and I remember my first match. Like, I got pinned in 4 seconds. Basically, the kid took a double leg, laid there on my back and got pinned. And then I walked off the mat and asked my parents if I could eat food, because I thought I was done wrestling, so what can I eat now? So that was my introduction to wrestling, and then when my uncle moved up, I slowly kind of gradually got better. We ended up wrestling 100 matches when I was 9 years old, coming off of like wrestling maybe 10 matches when I was 8 and not winning a match, and then going it was the 1 year ever we kept a record when I was younger, because we wrestled so many matches. But that year the goal was to hit 100 matches, and I did, and went 90 and 10. We just wrestled wherever, really. Didn't even really know what the Pennsylvania State tournament was, and so we didn't do that. And we were wrestling it was called the Ironman tournament when we were younger. It's like freestyle, Greco, and folk style. I don't know it's an AAU tournament. I don't know if you know it or not, or if they still even have it.
Well, it was the Ironman World Championships, right? Something like that. It was like in Michigan or something.
Well, when I wrestled, it was actually in Bloomsburg, PA. So I know it moves around. I know 1 year I was in Nebraska. Like I said, I don't know if they still have it or not. I was wrestling it. My uncle was wrestling it. My brother was wrestling it. My uncle got hurt. He snapped his leg. And from that point on, I was we were coming into, that was in the summer. We were coming into the fall. My mom said, I need to find some training. When we were at that tournament, Cola was there with some kids, and they were doing well. And she started looking them up, and she was in the area, 30 minutes from us. And that's basically, so I was 10 years old, basically, still very young into wrestling. That's basically how I got involved with him, and where everything started really taking off, on from being a 9-year-old, not even knowing what PJWs was, like the Pennsylvania State Tournament, to being a 10-year-old winning it, going to Tulsa Nationals, going to Reno. That's when everything really started to change, when I really got involved in the wrestling world. So I would say that's a lot. I would say it's my parents that did it all, you know what I mean? Like that were, obviously funded all the trips and just kind of, I remember not really liking the kids from Cole when I was at this tournament, at that Ironman tournament. I was like, no, I don't really want to go. I was, 9, 10 years old. And my mom, they're like, no, you should go, try it. And, they drove me every day. And well, one thing turned to another. And that was my place of training for a long time. So that was kind of like my intro to wrestling.
At what point did you realize that you were actually pretty good at this stuff? I mean, you say 90 and 10 wrestled 100 matches at, 9, 10 years old. I mean, going from getting pinned in 4 seconds to 90 wins at that age group. I mean, where did the improvement come from? What was it? Picking up one move and working that well, or where was the natural progression?
Honestly, it's so long ago. I don't really know. I just started I like to compete. When I was younger, like I said, I was a bit on heavyweight to start out with, but then I started getting in shape. My body started to change, and I enjoyed competing So I say the only year we kept a record was when I was 9. It was like 90-10 because when I was like 10 to 14, we were wrestling anywhere between like 200, 300 matches a year, something crazy like that in a full 12-month schedule. And and that was because basically, like I would beg, like I said, I just love to compete. Like I would beg my parents after the state tournament, like, hey, like there's a tournament in New York this weekend. Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And they're like, take a week off, dude. You need it. And I'm like, there's no such thing as burnout. Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And then we would go, and then I would like double bracket. I remember one year, like we went up to like York and just tournament like right in the backyard in Central York, and cause I begged them to. It was like I said, 2 weeks after state. I remember there's like 2 different New Jersey state champs in the bracket, 2 different PA state champs in the bracket. It was just real random, and I'm super glad I went. I double bracketed, and won both divisions and got like 8 or 9 matches that day, something like that, and like. And I thought, I was like, that's why we keep wrestling, because, we went and like, look at all the competition there was. So, and then like anytime I could, Kerry always had me like double bracket, double weight and double bracket if I could, anything to get more matches, anything to just team to get better on the mat. So, really, it was just liking and enjoying to compete. So when I realized, I don't necessarily know if I realized I was good. I just know I like to compete.
So you go into high school, and with the way wrestling is, junior high athletes are now, it's not like it's the hidden world. The internet's there, Flow's there, YouTube's there. I mean, you guys come out of middle school now as a known entity, even when you were coming out. And I mean, how much pull was there from outside factors to see if you could go? Your high school wasn't really known for its wrestling prowess, so you could stay at Kennard Dale, or were there basically overtures for you to go other more powerhouse programs?
So St. Paul's and like where Kermit Henry's from, and a couple of other guys that you would know. When St. Leon's coming out, that's where we originally trained at Colot's, and then before you guys knew site in Cockeysville. But still, there's like Friedman Brothers, Galli, a lot of guys that ended up going to St. Paul's and ended up having a pretty good high school team. And I took like the test to get in school there and stuff. I almost went to St. Paul's. Then we almost went to Pittsburgh, and we had all these decisions to make. And that I could just see like my little sisters like were unhappy, and like the biggest reason I stayed at Canada because I was like, it's AAA Pennsylvania. I can do it right here. I don't know why I need to leave. And that was really just the biggest reason. There's no point in moving the family, doing all this crazy stuff. When I'm able to get done what I need to get done right where I was. So that's kind of how that all panned out. Like we were looking around, and I just like it can be done right here. There's a lot of good wrestling right here. There's good clubs. Like I can get to. That was Colot. I had already left this time. Taylor Valley still had the club down. Colot's going. There's still good guys going down there. I had my own wrestling room in my barn. An hour up the road was Team Griffin, which is not Team Nowman. And if I needed to go find partners, I was going to go find them. So, and I was able to do that. And that's basically how that decision was made.
A lot of people use wrestling as an outlet for, whether it be some people are hyperactive kids. Okay, let's focus their energy into wrestling and teach them some discipline and whatnot. And there's also people who use it to kind of cope with certain things. And as it's been documented, your home life starts getting a little rocky. And how much of that was responsible for you seeking out more competition in wrestling as a way to cope with some of the domestic issues you were dealing with at home?
I think it was an outlet. I think it was like the only thing I really knew that was like normal to me at the time, and a way from me to escape. And it was a long time ago we're talking about. I know I've given in different interviews. Probably have said different things. I don't honestly remember what I said because things have like changed so much as time's going on. But I would definitely say it's an outlet. Like it's an escape. but it was just something. It's also something to stay busy, not fall behind. Really, it started to just become like an obsession for me. And I mean, I think any good wrestler I've talked to, like, that really enjoys what they do, and when I say good wrestler, maybe not a high school wrestler, but any good real college wrestler, like you know, it's an obsession, right? Like you have to live it, eat it, sleep it, breathe it to really be successful at it, because it is, you know, an unforgiving sport. Like, you really get what you put into it, and how most of the time you don't even get that. So, you know, I think it just became an obsession, and you know, yeah, it definitely was probably a way for me to, looking back on it, get away. But really, I don't really know, you know, now thinking about, like, if it really was that, or if I just, you know, loved the sport of wrestling, you know, because I know I've loved it since I was a kid. Yes, there's been bumps in the road, but I don't really know life without it. So, you know, as I got older, you know, I don't really think I would know how to live without it.
There was a time you had to live without it. It's after the Cadet World Championships. You're in the semis. I mean, you hit with a gruesome injury, man. That was just kind of painful to watch. And how hard was it for you, one, to not be able to truly wrestle for a medal there on that trip, and have to sit out for an extended amount of time?
Honestly, was one of the worst things I think that could have happened to me. I for a little bit there, I remember, like, kind of despising the sport, like, because I just didn't understand why. You know, why me? I mean, it was my fault. You know, I'm in a funky position. You know, on that gut wrench, I, you know, kind of posted, and you know, it could have been prevented, maybe, I don't know, but I was not just, like, mad at myself for letting it happen. I was mad at the sport. But you know, if I would have won that match, I would have actually had Saudi Leov in the finals. Funny enough, that's who was in my bracket. The Ukrainian that I got hurt against wrestled. You know, that Ukrainian was back when it was best of 3 periods, and it went to the 3rd period, and the Ukrainian was actually winning in the 3rd period. Gave up like a 4-point or two 3-point moves, 2 3-point double legs, like, towards the end of the match. He was actually winning in the 3rd. So it's kind of funny enough. I was like, you know, that would have been me versus Saudi Leov in the finals, but yeah, I wasn't very happy. You know, that was my only time at the World Championship so far to this day. Like I said, you know, I really, you know, as I'm sitting there watching the medal matches, and the Ziri kid, the kid Marsteller, he sees I'm in a sling, I'm in my street shoes, and basically he's like, yeah, I do that kind of, like, a wave around my neck. Like, I was like, no, I'm not going to wrestle. Like, way before the match. And, you know, he goes up, walks up on the mat, and kind of, like, gives me, like, the hands in the air, like, why aren't you wrestling? I'm like, dude, I'm in a sling. It's pretty obvious I'm not wrestling you, man. So, yeah, just sit there and watch that kid do that. I wasn't happy, to say the least. But again, it's a long time ago. Give myself better shots to make other world teams, and, you know, I have a lot of wrestling left to do to try to make a couple. So, but yeah, I guess, to say the least about that, it was difficult.
Now, you go back and you're starting to get I mean, you were blowing people off the mat your first 2 years, and then, you know, people say that, okay, well, you've always been stronger than everybody, and then once you get to wrestling the bigger kids, you know, your success is going to be limited. You had some tighter matches as you got through high school, but you still went through unscathed. And at what point through your high school career does the pressure of being an undefeated 4-timer start to kind of creep in, or was that chatter something that happened right after your freshman year?
I think with any, you know, freshman that wins the state title, and it starts to happen. You know, it already started happening with the Alejandro Herrera kid. It happened with Sam Hilligus. It happened with Klebo. It happens with all our kids. You know, and it's a tough feat to do. But I think any of those kids you ask can tell you, like, that's not really, like, what they're setting out to do. You know, they prepare, and we all, I think, prepare the same kind of way. Like, I don't prepare my sophomore year by saying I'm going to be a 4-time state champion. I prepare my sophomore year by saying I'm going to win it this year, right? And I'm going to win this next match, and I'm going to win this next match. And so really, I don't know. You know, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of pressure on me growing up, but I don't know how much I really thought about it. I don't really know if that's the direction you're trying to go with this, but you know, it was there, I guess. But like I said before, I liked it. I enjoyed it. The more spotlight you can put on a rest, not just me, but, you know, obviously when somebody comes through like that, you know, you remember people like that, and it puts the spotlight on wrestling itself. So the more spotlight on wrestling itself, the better for our sport, the better exposure. Yeah, like I said, I don't really know how much I looked into the pressure going on. But, you know, everybody wants to play it up. I think it was there. It's an unsaid, unspoken thing that, you know, you put on your shoulders, but, you know, like I don't change things up because of it.
At what point did you become aware of, you know, there's a faction waiting to see you lose or waiting to see you fall, you know, and not win 4 titles? And, you know, they're, you know, with success comes contempt in some cases. I mean, did you start hearing any of those kind of the boo birds or people rooting for you to lose at what, did you notice that? And if you did, when was it?
No, I mean, I think it's just a given that, you know, if you can read anybody around you or, you know, there's always going to be people that want that, no matter what type of person you are, or whether you're a good guy or you're a thug. You know, I think there's always going to be people that want you to lose. You know, and it's human nature. So, and the same people that root for you, you know, can turn around and root against you. So, I mean, I don't really know when I realized it or did or didn't. But I think that's there with anything. So, you know, I think people that are big Kyle Snyder fans, he beats Sully Lev one time or something, and the next time they're like, he's going to lose, or you know, they root for Sully Lev next time because people just want to see. Now, I don't even know if people just want to see that person fall, or people just want to see everybody be competitive. You know, everything be tough for everybody. You know, I mean, I think that sport does it for us already. So, I don't, like I said, I don't know when I realized it, if I did or didn't. But it's like I'm saying this a lot. You know, I think it's all kind of given stuff.
Well, I think I could probably point to one point, at least a faction of a fan base in the good old Keystone State. You make your verbal commitment to Penn State, then you're like, no, we're not going to commit to Penn State. You know, you get caught up in the buzz now. I mean, now, you know, when I was doing rankings for Intermat and doing the commitment stuff, I'd get like a phone call or an email. There, you know, social media wasn't prevalent. I mean, MySpace might have been around, but commits weren't posting their stuff on Twitter. There was no Twitter. There wasn't, you know, a whole lot of buzz of athletes being able to control their announcement. I mean, you have to call me or somebody from USA Wrestling or something, because like, hey, I'm going to commit here, and that's how the news got out. And now with everything being available, I mean, we saw that with Spencer Lee and Gavin Teasdale, both they're going to commit and in various places, and it was on Flow. And when you make that commitment, was it something that you felt like you were ready to go to Penn State, or was it something that you maybe felt like you had to go to Penn State to kind of maybe keep people quiet? Or, I mean, what was that whole decision like?
Really, it was just, I think I've talked about it before in an interview when I was younger. You know, really the decision was, I think, more rushed. At the time, we were only like 4 days into, you know, when coaches were really allowed to start talking to you, and you're really allowed to start, you know, committing. And I remember, like, I was out, like, helping doing some wrestling in Jersey, and I came home, and Kel came down to my house right away, and he, you know, his thing was, you're PA boy, you're from PA, and, you know, as much as now I look back and he was right, you know, yeah, that was the play that was kind of put out there, and I don't necessarily know if that when I chose to go to NC State, right? I think that was only an actual official visit I took, and really it was kind of more like a guilty like trip. Like I committed to Penn State, and I was like, I never really gave it a shot. Let me go out there and just check it out. And it's kind of like I was already out there. You know, you get overwhelmed, and you know, like, this is pretty cool. And I changed my commitment, signed, you know, like a day or two later when I got back from the visit. Basically, that visit to Okie State didn't happen until right before signing day, because you know, I just felt funny about the way I left things. And I really think if, you know, maybe if I took all 5 visits, took my time, you know, I might have ended up at Penn State. I might have, who knows where I would have, you know, I didn't really take my time, check everything out. I was young. I thought I knew everything. Get big eyes quick. You know, you're not really sure what's right for you, you know, and I don't think, you know, I come from a family that, you know, I don't think we really knew what I was looking for or what to be looking for in this decision process. Like, for one, I didn't realize, you know, until halfway through college when I got back in Lockhaven, how important it is to take care of school, you know, and now it's important to me. I'm like, I wish it was more important to me. Maybe I don't go to Penn State at all. Maybe I go to an Ivy League school, because now knowing what I know now, I could have done it, you know, or so. But yeah, I think there was pressure on me to go to Penn State, and because I was a PA guy, and, you know, I don't think that's pressure. I think that's, people around you enjoyed you and wanted to keep you around. So, and I guess I just didn't want that at the time. I'm not really sure. Again, like I said, I was young, so I still am.
Because the way you explain it, it seems like it's distant history, and based on where your life has been, it might as well be distant history. But we can look at coaches and say, it takes a certain type of athlete to want to wrestle at Penn State, a certain type of mentality to want to wrestle for Cael Sanderson. The same thing can be said for John Smith. The same thing can be said for Tom Ryan, for Brian Smith, all the great coaches that are in this country. So and each program is unique in their own aspect, but. The decision to go to Stillwater, you got the greatest freestyle wrestler, it's arguable that it's either John Smith or Bruce Baumgartner based on medal counts, but 6 straight world and Olympic titles. This guy's won national titles as a coach. So was there kind of a fascination there with John Smith and knowing, how good he was as an athlete and feel like that was the best place for you to learn based on how good you were on your feet?
No, I do think that was a big play into it. I think the whole just history surrounding. I mean, I know Penn State was just coming off they got their 4th national title in a row that year. But I think just like the history of Okie State was really the biggest thing that got me out there.
When you get there's talk. I mean, there's a loaded room. Deeringer's there. Ryan Blease is coming in from North Dakota. He eventually went to Virginia Tech. Then you in there. I mean, you got 3 like number 1 guys kind of hanging around one weight class. And for you, who had always been one of the best guys in your room, if not one of the best guys in the country at every weight bracket, what was it like to try to have to contend for a spot, to fight for a spot, and cut weight while doing it? Really for the first time in your life.
It's difficult. Coach Smith, I think he has some type of room that you bring in as much time as you can, and it's a dog fight, and who comes out on top, who comes out on top. So, and I don't really think I was prepared for that. I think I was used to being kind of groomed, and I think I like being in a room a little bit more where the spotlight's on me and I'm taken care of, and the spotlight was kind of on everybody out there, and I don't think I was ready, honestly. There would be days where there'd be a 3rd or 4th kid that was kicking my butt. It was just all difficult, and, but there's a lot of things that happen out there that I made it tough on myself. You're not so great in school, or not taking care of, you're far from your family, or there's just a lot of things that I let bleed together, and it showed in my wrestling. And obviously that 157 just wasn't really feasible. I don't even know how I ever got down the weight, but it's all really in the past now. Again, like I said, I'm not even sure how I ended up at Oklahoma State. I'm not sure why I did half the things I did.
Well, is that kind of part of the story here? Is I mean, where was your state of mind? Was that because you were dealing with substance, or what was was there outside factors that contributed to this?
No, I just really think I was young and thought I knew it all. I didn't want to listen to my parents. I didn't want to listen to friends or coaches. I didn't want to listen to anybody. I just thought I knew what was best for Champ, and I just didn't consider anything else. I really didn't consider anything else. I had a very narrow one-track line. It was either Penn State or Okie State, and honestly, I think it was just what way was I feeling the week of signing me, and so I don't think there's much more of a story to it. I think everything was just kind of rushed. There was a lot of things taken into consideration. Maybe I just wasn't the right fit for Okie State. That's just not the type of room I think I'm good in. And there's all kinds of ways you can look at it. I don't think it's more into it than what there is. I think I went to a school that I don't think I quite fit in at. I don't think I got quite along with the guys in the room that great. I'm not really a cowboy type of guy. You do strike me as wrestling.
You strike me as you got a twinge of redneck in you a little bit. I mean, you strike me as like you could fit in, but you can't quite. You're not a cowboy. There's different type of country.
Yeah, definitely different. I said before I went there, I said I'll never wear a pair of cowboy boots. So I think when you're going to Okie State, you can't say that. I don't think so. But I don't really. It has nothing to do with Okie State. I think it had everything to do with me, and just like I said, wasn't the right place, wasn't the right time. Maybe a different time in my life might have been the right place, and who knows? But again, like I said, I was young. I was younger. I still am young, and still definitely don't know a whole lot, but at least I can admit it now and I can ask for help in making, the next best decision, whatever that might be in my life, right? So, I actually talk to my family now and work things out with them. I actually have coaches that care about me. I talk to them about what decisions I should be making. Talk to my fiance, what's going to be happiest for our life together. Before I just, like I said, it was just me walking down this path. Hey, leave me alone. I'm going to go do this thing by myself.
When you're so far away from home, that can also factor in a lot of places when you're uncomfortable. And of course, with your story, those who, what is it? History is doomed to repeat itself if we don't learn from it. And you've obviously learned from the situations you got yourself into, not just, struggles with weight and wrestling mats, but, some of your extracurriculars that led to ultimately you going down the wrong path for a while. You had a chance, you left, you were looking for a fresh start at Lock Haven. And then I guess the incident that kind of led to your, leaving the program for a while, I guess for lack of a better term, was that rock bottom for you? Was that arrest rock bottom?
Oh, absolutely. I just remember feeling totally defeated. Just like, I know that every possible wrong thing I could have done in the past year or two of my life, I've done it. I've done everything wrong that I can possibly do. And, I put myself in the scenario that I was in. And I think it took me a long time to start. Like I said before, it was only me. I'm only listening to me, and that's it. And I think there's about time that's finally the time where I was able to sit down and open my ears up, open my eyes up, shut my mouth, start taking advice from the right people and from people around me.
Addiction is a strong, powerful thing, and it's a very hard thing to break away from. You're not the only one in your family that's had to deal with this type of situation. And how much was your recovery in your journey shared by your mom? Each of you having your own battles and your own demons to fight with. How much did you guys get to kind of work through that together, not just to kind of repair your own lives, but also repair the relationship you had with each other?
Yeah, I think that had a lot. I think the first thing was fixing our relationship with each other. I think we realized that a lot of those issues weren't really coming from how we thought about each other. It was outside influences, and more than anything, my mom. She probably one of if not the strongest person I know, and just being able to watch and learn from her was obviously very helpful. Knowing that there's somebody else that's going through what I've gone through, so close to me. And kind of understanding why I am the way I am. I never would have admit it growing up, and now when everybody says you're spitting image of your mom, you act the same way, you talk the same way, you are your mom. And I never wanted to admit that when I was a little kid, but now I'm like, you're right. And my mom and I laugh a lot today about stuff like that, and but my mom was diagnosed with cancer. I want to say coming up on close to a year now, and she's just resilient. She just fights. She just takes everything in stride, and just learning from a person like that, and just knowing that when somebody says I'm like that person, then these are the type of things I want to emulate and reflect, and be like, I think you can see a lot of the similarities between us. Not the bad, what I mean? Like anybody has a similarities with that, but there's similarities with the good we have.
Now we've kind of outlined that. Now you're going to Lock Haven. You're on probation. You got so many hoops you got to go through. When you finally get a clear head through all this, and you're like, okay, you're going through rehab, and you're getting everything set. Did you look back at this thing and hope that you didn't blow what was considered your second chance? Lock Haven's your second chance, and then you get into this, you get arrested. It's all over the papers. 4-time state champion Marsteller, in trouble with law again, that type of stuff. And
so real quick, I just want to clarify something, because this has been bothering me for such a long time. I'm so sick of people saying like this is my third or fourth chance.
Go for it.
I was out at Oklahoma State. Like, it was my choice to leave between me and John Smith. Like, I asked him for a release. I asked to leave. You know what I mean? Like, I could have still been there doing the team. I never got kicked off the team. I left because I tried to quit wrestling. I tried to quit. I tried to leave the sport. I had no idea how to. But then it was my choice to leave and come to Lock Haven. So, I mean, yeah, okay, I had a couple of, like, the normal college mess ups at first. But then, then I had my big downfall. And I just want to say, but, like, it was my choice to leave and come to Lock Haven, because I realized then and there that I wasn't in the right place for myself and I needed to leave. And obviously my ways continued with me. They followed, they don't, you realize that just changing scenery ain't going to fix everything.
Right.
And obviously your issues will still follow you. And changing scenery helps, right? But, and then, all that stuff happens. So I just want to clarify that because, like, I really don't like when people I don't ever get to talk, or fight back for myself. I'm not going to be a Twitter troll or an Instagram troll. And I just let those people say what they want to say. But I just really get sick of people going, he's got 4 or 5 chances. His name's Chance. This is his 6th, 7th time. No, like, I came here on my own. Okay. And then I messed up and then I decided to come back and get back in where I was, continue through with what I was doing in the first place.
That's the first time you got to say that, right?
Yeah, sorry. I hope you don't feel like I was coming at you.
No. See, I just
wanted to make that clear.
Absolutely. No, because matter of fact, if I was wrong, I want you to correct me on it. So one, I'm glad we got the opportunity to say that. So now, reshaping the question. When you're after your arrest and now you've realized you've coming through with a clear head and you look at what you've done and you read about what you've done, and then did you feel like you lost any opportunity you had to wrestle at the Division I level with that arrest?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I did. I realized like it's going to take everything tooth and nail to get back into where I need to be. Like it took not only does you have everything, when you have everything stripped of you, or you stripped of everything, but you're stripped of your like I talked about that confidence before too. That the most confidence that I had when I was young, like you're stripped of it. Like you like society shapes you, and when all you hear is this stuff about you that you didn't even know about yourself. You already knew enough about yourself, and you already think you see bad things about yourself from that thing up. And society, like they strip you of your confidence, and the only person, and you and your loved ones, the only person that can get you back up on your feet and try to get you moving forward. And that is one thing I'm grateful to Coach Moore for. I think he saw that. I realized I made that mistake. Big mistake, big one, but I think he realized like I'm going to come fighting back and I'm going to get back to where I need to be because I absolutely did. I didn't never know if I'd get back at all at this point. I didn't get close, but I knew, yeah, sure, I had to jump through all these hoops, but Coach Moore did too. He went, I don't even want to know how much time he spent, how much paperwork he had to do to get me back to school. But thank God he did. But I mean, I think, he knew once he did it, I think he knew he was making a good choice because he knew what kind of person I am. Like I said, I had my issues, but I think I've always been the same kind of person I've always been. And I think that's a good person, a person who truly loves the sport of wrestling, does care about other people and things outside themselves. Just, again, like you said, had to clear the way, right? Like had to clear the path. But once that path was cleared, once I did step foot back on campus, once I did know eventually I'm going to be back on the team, I knew I'd be somewhere right around where I am right now.
How much, you talked about how much convincing Coach Moore had to do with getting you back in school. How much convincing did you have to do to your teammates who might have kind of, all right, it's another story with Chance, or their perception of, are you getting favoritism because you're so good? What was your journey with your own teammates like once you were back in school and trying to get back on the team?
It's difficult. It still is difficult. Thank God I have a family and I get to spend time with them because I don't really know. It's not just teammates. It's anywhere you walk across anybody in wrestling. You don't really know how many dudes probably turn on you or would turn on you, and I had to convince them. Yeah, but I had enough convincing of myself to do. It's wrestling in school, and hey, if I got a 4-0 and I'm the better wrestler, like why shouldn't I wrestle, right? And I'm doing the right things. So I think those things take care of themselves. I'm not going to sit there and like beg my friends for forgiveness. I didn't do quite. I hurt the program, I hurt the image, but I didn't hurt their wrestling. And I feel like that's the way a lot of people kind of treated me, not just at Lockheed, but in a lot of places. So I did have a lot of making up to do. I still do. I think my teammates truly, after a long time, if they took a long time, could see that, I want to help better myself. I want to help better you guys too, and I want to help better the program. I just all around want things to be better, you know, where I'm at. So it took a while. You know, there were some guys that invite you back with open arms. But there's a lot of people with holdbacks, and I mean, you know, I think they have every right to. You know, I mean, who won it? You don't want to see a guy come back and make the same mistakes again and tarnish an image of the program you're at again. You know, but I knew I wasn't going to let that happen, and but I did think, you know, I didn't know it was going to take a while. You know, before I was actually fully back on the team, I got back into school in the spring, in January, and I wasn't actually back on the team till middle of around preseason time. So, you know, I'd already been back in school and stuff for like 7-8 months, and there's a long time for meshing period. So,
are you ready to talk about current events now?
Sure.
Yeah, let's talk about 2019 NCAA Division I championship in consolation brackets. 165. You finished third. And let's talk through. This is your senior year. You know, you're going in, pretty good, top 5 seed there. You see the draw. What are your first impressions when you get the draw and knowing what your path is potentially going to be to the finals?
I like that. You know, I really, really believe that I could beat anybody in that bracket. And when we saw the brackets come out, I liked where I was at. I mean, as much as people want to act like they do or they don't care where they're at in a bracket, when you're at a big tournament like that and you have 3 weigh-ins and, you know, and you got to come back and be ready 3 days in a row and prepared. And I do think it kind of matters a little bit. And, you know, I liked where I was at. I thought the rematch with Rick was going to go how it went the last time, you know, in the quarters. Obviously that didn't happen. And, but I don't think like last year, it took me a while to open up the national tournament until I actually lost at the backside before I started wrestling better. You know, I don't think that was the case this year. I think I wrestled good the whole tournament. You know, except for the part where I got pinned, got in a scramble. I think I was wrestling well before that point. I think I was attacking, moving my feet. So I liked where I was at. I liked the way I was wrestling. I guess it just wasn't in the cards, you know, so.
You know, the moment of disappointment, you know, you get cradled up. It's the first period. You didn't even, it's not like you were fighting through the whole match. And then, you know, it was a thing, you know, he beat you at the end. He hits you with a pretty solid cradle on top. And immediate response is some people's like, well, just like last year. What was your response in terms of once you got off the mat, cooled down, had a chance to recover through the tunnel? What goes through your mind now?
Not a whole lot was going through it. There's a lot of numbness that happens at that point. And, basically, like I said, and the only way I could really play it off is just to keep making fun of myself. Like, I knew I was wrestling fine, you know. Like, we got in a scramble. He's long. He set the corner of me, cradle, and pinned me. I was like, you weren't wrestling bad, Chance. Like, you can't start telling yourself you're wrestling bad. You have a lot of matches left, and you know, every single time I step on the mat, I'm gonna give my best. There's no reason to, because I lost that match, to come back and not give my best because my head's not on, right? So you have a long time in between the quarters and the blood round. So I just started trying to think about it the whole time, you know. Every single time that thought would come in my head, I'm just, you know, dang, you got pinned twice. I just kind of laugh about it, or I just keep saying, man, that cradle move, that thing's something special. Just, you know, because like afterwards, you know, Daniel Lewis got a pin with a cradle, and someone said that pinned this guy with a cradle, and you know, I just kept laughing. I'm like, dang, that cradle move, that thing's sweet, because I don't ever hit one. So I'm like, I wonder if it would work if I actually try one. You know, and just kind of kept making jokes about myself. And that's the only way. I mean, every single time I thought, because it's going to keep coming in your head and keep coming in your head, and you got to kind of put those thoughts out. So yeah, but mostly numbness, and then, you know, like I said, just trying to play it off as if it was something that's not. And then when I get back on the mat, you know that, hey man, you came here to wrestle a bunch of matches, so you can have 4 left, or you can have 1 left, and be done with it. You know, and I wouldn't have been happy with myself at all. I wouldn't be able to be okay with myself if I just went out there and laid an egg and laid down for my next guy.
You'd said when you were younger that it was like, you know, you weren't listening to anybody, you know best. And What was the discussion like with your coaches? How much did you listen to Scott Moore and Nate Carr Jr. and Rob Weichel in that tunnel between those matches? You're making fun of yourself, but how much of you had, maybe a younger you would have just not talked to your coaches versus say, you today? I mean, what were those discussions like with your staff?
I'm not really sure what they're like. I think we do a good job of preparing for things, and I think most wrestlers can tell you there's not a whole lot of discussion back there. You go in, you do your warm up, and then they basically tell you it's all you. It's go time and time to focus. And if there is a little bit of technique we might need to talk about quick, we'll talk about it. Maybe something to adjust to. That's really it. So I don't really know if that's good comparison, but yeah, before the match, like if there's something that needs to be talked about, we'll discuss it. But like all that kind of stuff, all the match preparation stuff, that's always been the same.
So coming off the blood round, which is, you got the dog bone formation, you got the semis in the middle, the blood round on the outside. You draw Demetrius Romero from Utah Valley, who had knocked off, Joe Smith, the round before. So you could have potentially seen, Joe in the match to place, and, Romero beats him, and then you go out and you beat the brakes off Romero. I mean, it's close going in the third period. You hit 4 third period takedowns, left little doubt that you were back on the podium. Was you just kicking it into the high gear in that third period? I mean, was there some, a tone you were trying to set? What was the message there?
No, I think I'm that good of a wrestler, and that, the first period, I want to get more takedowns in the first period, but I think Romero is a good wrestler. He had a good game plan. We had wrestled once before, and, I think he knew he didn't want me to have my hands on him much because he's pretty good from the outside. So he tried to stay away from me most. He was stalling in the first period, because he's got a game plan. He's trying to stay away from me. So I think eventually when I finally started to score a little bit, then you got to actually open up. Like, you're losing now, you got to attack. You got to come forward. You got to actually wrestle me now. And I think once that happened, I was able to open up more. I was trying to score as many points as I could. I think I put up a lot more points this year at Nationals than I did last year. So, once it got to that point, we're also at Lock Haven. You're just trying to stay in the top 20. We had a goal that was higher than that, but we're trying to stay in the top 20, and I'm close to a major. I got to go get that major. Kyle Stroop, some Chad Red for 7th. He could have just hung on for a win, right? But he went out and he finished. He got the major. So, I think that was more so my mindset was like, hey, there's another half team that can be scored right now. Let's go get it.
And then the rest of the draw. I mean, we got hammers that don't place here. Then Marinelli has to beat Massa just to place, and you've got Marinelli, who is he's had that kind of, he got upset by Mekhi Lewis in the quarterfinals, and he's got his own personal mission that he's going on for his high school teammate and his sister's late fiance. So I mean, there's a lot of people rooting for Marinelli. You sit there, you beat Marinelli. Then you've got Josh Shields, who you lost to at Red Lion High School back in January, and you win that one. Then you got another shot at Wick. I mean, it's like, it was probably one of the tougher consolation draws ever. What was really kind of driving you through that?
Just honestly, it's just one match at a time. Like I was telling myself, all right, you're one of the top 12 wrestlers in the country. That's going to be one of the top 8 wrestlers. Now, when I was top 8, I was, dude, you can't finish 7th or 8th. You got to be top 6. Honestly, this is what was going through my head. And then that's in there in the Conti semis, and I'm just like, you can be 3rd or you can be 6th. There's a big drop off here. With Marinelli, I think, that was one match that, I knew all year long I could win. And, I think it had a lot of hype behind me, no matter where it would have been. If it was the Contis on the championship side, a tournament during the year, I think a lot of people want to see that match. And I just want to prove myself right and prove, I think, a lot of others wrong. I think there's a lot of people that didn't see that. And,
Shields at the duel against at Red Lion was like, that was one of the most boring matches. Man, I'm not going to lie to you. But this time you come out, you get a takedown in the first 15 seconds of the match to kind of, all right, ice is broken. None of this tiebreaker stuff. We've actually scored on our feet.
The way I saw Red Lion, it was close to my home. There's a lot of people there that, haven't got to see me wrestle in college since high school, and a lot of fans, a lot of people who don't actually even know that much about wrestling, just know me, came up to watch me. And I didn't score a takedown. I didn't score a reversal. I didn't score backs. Like, all I had was experience the whole match. It was a long match, and even though it was a long match, I didn't move my feet the entire match. That was really the match where I had to reshape the way I was training. Yeah, going out at the Conti semis and Nationals, just like, this is it, man. Like, I've been moving my feet the whole tournament. I'm just going to continue to move my feet. I don't think it was just a red line match this year. I think there was a little time period in there after Scuffle where I went through a little bit of a slump where I wasn't moving my feet real well or my hands. So it just wasn't me, you know. So I think, again, when I'm wrestling well, and I think everything else takes care of itself. And I knew going in that Conti semis match I was going to take care of business. I think towards the end I wrestled, you know, a little bit tighter again, and I think I could have scored some more points in that match, but it was nice to turn things around and get back where I could turn things around that match.
Then you get Evan Wick for the second year in a row in the third place match. He had done to you in the quarters what he did to you in the third place match the year before. Gets the fall. You know, match management, match strategy. How much changes? You know, what did you have to change to come out this time with the victory and end your career, you know, in the odds? You win your last match. You know, you get the senior send-off as, you know, a 4-time state champion from Pennsylvania, now finishing his career, you know, in third place from Lock Haven, Chance Marsteller. I mean, what goes through the change in mentality and the change in technical wrestling between the quarters and the third place match?
I think it was I think I was still offensive, just instead of shooting a lot. You know, I think I knew I couldn't get into any scramble situations with him because, yeah, you know, he's dangerous at any given point. And it was actually weird. I was the one in situations where he was normally in on me, and I was sitting in the corner. And I don't even know how we really ended, you know, how the match turned from one way to that way. I said it, you know, right after the match. I really I didn't have a game plan. I was like, I got pinned twice, and I thought I was wrestling pretty well both times. You know, so I said, I just want to make it to the third period. If I can actually get out of this match, you know, without getting pinned, I'm gonna win it. So, and that's what happened. Honestly, I think everybody wants to hear something else or whatnot. I swear to you, that's all I thought. Like, let's just get to the third period, and then, you know, and then I can just be smart from there on out. You know, and I think I was. It was actually kind of nice that, you know, the guys get on top, and their third period's going to go top. That was the one thing, you know, I had a game plan for that going into the quarterfinals, but we didn't even make it to the second period. We could just stop. So I was able to kind of work out some of my game plan that I had for the quarterfinals into that third match. But again, like I said, I was really just trying to get to the third period, see where the score's at, and finish the match smart.
You're a 4-time undefeated high school wrestling state champion. You end your career as a 2-time Division I All-American, finishing 3rd and 4th. Are you happy with your college career? Are you content? How would you describe, you know, your Division I life and career?
I am happy, and I'm not at the same time. Again, I'm happy because I knew that, you know, every second I gave it my all. You know, I'm unhappy because I know if I wrestled a little bit smarter, a little bit different, I think things would have, you know, ended out better for me. But they didn't, and but I knew every single time I walked into a match, or every single time leading up to a match, you know, I trained my hardest. I gave my all, you know, and I don't really think you can be mad at yourself when you know that. So I'm not that upset. I'm upset, you know. I think anybody who had a dream goal to be a national champion is upset when it all comes to reality, and you're not. But like I always tell any of my wrestlers, you know, it didn't happen. You still wrestle well. You got to go set your next goal. What's your next goal going to be? You know, so my next goal is to go on the freestyle circuit and do well and go make a world game. So, you know, that's my next goal. You know, next big goal, and that's what I'm going to set out to do.
When you look at the program, I mean, I had friends from high school and college roommates that either went to Lock Haven or started at Lock Haven. It's called Matt Town. I mean, the university revolves around, and the town revolves around wrestling in a lot of ways. And, you know, being one of the top guys in the nation, but in that room and with a gritty guy like Scott Moore, who came from Franklin, Pennsylvania, talk about what the rise really means for not just you, but for the entire school.
The rise means a lot of things. I think one is just like, you know, we're gonna rise above the odds for one. You know, I mean, when the program was at a high point before, you know, so we knew it was doable, but we're gonna rise back up to that point because I think a lot of people count you out right away. You know, you're a small school, you're an EWL school. You know, we look around and, you know, other schools have done it before, have placed time before, and like Edinburgh a couple of years ago when they took third. we know it's doable. So I think the thing about the rise is, again, like I said before, is you have a future, you got to know the future, see the future, and you got to believe it. So that's mostly the rise is rises. We're rising into the future. We're rising into the unknown, and we're going to walk into it strongly and confident, and knowing that if what we're doing is the right things, and that we're as good as anybody out there. I think the rise also the rise into better recruits, just better. It's a little bit easier when you start out with some better wrestlers, and then you develop them even more. And I think guys are going to start seeing like, hey, this is a place I can go and be successful at. And then it makes it even easier, Like I said before, we do a lot with a little. Could you imagine what we do if we had more scholarship money, if we had more blue chippers, if, any of that. So, I guess that happens. I think as people start to see this happening, the rise, right? They start to see this happen, other people are going to buy into it, right? Everybody's going to rise together then. And, I guess that's really what it means for me and a lot of the guys here.
Does it also kind of prove that, I think I saw a tweet floating around that somebody asked you about what type of gear you guys get, and you're like, dude, we go to Lock Haven. While you've been an advocate for the opportunity, it's also, you can spin it to where, like, look, you don't need 900 singlets or 15 pairs of shoes to succeed. We've got a room, we got a coaching staff, we got tradition. How far can those things go? If you are a blue chipper that say, you know what, maybe I need to go to a smaller school that's got some tradition to help me get my goals.
I think all those things go farther than any gear can or any football stadium can. And, I like I said, I went to Cannondale. I didn't say this before, but I went to Cannondale. There wasn't a whole lot there, but I knew I could get it done there. I know that I could seek out the partners or bring in the partners, or I had a mat room, and I want to put the time into that mat room. We have a pretty nice mat room here. It's not like our room isn't nice, or that we're not, taken care of enough here, right? Like we're not big time. You don't see like all the gear and stuff that or crazy extravagant stuff you might see at a big time school. But we have the essentials, right? And that's what you need to be successful. I hear this like college football, it's arms race, right? Best stadium, the best equipment, this, that. But in wrestling, right, it's nitty gritty. The best guys only need a few things to succeed. So, but in order to succeed, really, it comes from the wrestler themselves. Our wrestlers are able to succeed because they believe in themselves. So you believe in yourself, come to a sport like this, you can be successful.
When we get to, you talked about how much you love competing and you love the sport of wrestling. Did you ever think that there would be something you loved out there more than wrestling?
No, I didn't. And now I have a fiance and two sons, and I didn't think it was possible, but I do.
And I asked Doug Spatafor, the SID, about this. I asked Scott Morris, is there something you can tell me about Chance that we can put on the show? And both of them immediately said, dude, have him talk about his kids. He'll light up. So, no loaded questions. I'm not trying to dig into some redemption story. I want to know. Tell me about your kids, man. I've got two girls myself. I know fatherhood changed me. How has it changed you? And how much do you just look at them and just go, wow?
I think it changed you the most part just because even if you're not totally selfish, like you can't be at all. Not when you have kids. Like they have to come first. I always, it's tough. A lot of times I feel like I put wrestling on the back burner, but like I put enough time in this room. Like these kids need time and care, and they need you there, and that makes you feel important just to know that. But they're amazing. My one's only like 5 weeks old or so. He got the Easton, so he just came into the world a little bit before NCAA's. So we're really still learning a little bit about each other. Me and Easton or Easton and I are. But Gannon, my older one, he's like 16 going on 17 months, and he's full blown just crazy. Like he's an absolute nut. He can be a terror all day long, and all he has to do is smile, and it just flips your mood, flips the switch, and you automatically you can't even be mad at him. They're both pretty good boys, I'd have to say. Cannon's I hope I hope they wrestle one day, but I don't really care what they do as long as they're happy. That's the biggest thing my father has taught me about life. Like, when I'm looking at these guys and as they get older, I just want them to do whatever they're happy at. I want them to be successful. I want them to be happy and figure out their niche in life, And I think I figured mine out at an early age, but I don't know how happy I was throughout the whole thing. So it took me a while to figure all that out. I wanted them to figure that out at a young age, like what makes you happy, and then go for it, and be successful at something. Being able to realize that this is what I want from them. That not everybody's like me, Everybody's it's not gonna be wrestling everywhere I go when I talk to somebody, And so understand that about somebody when you're making a friend or you're learning about somebody, and understand what makes that person happy, and then talk to them about it. Understand that about them. So, I think they teach me more about myself than even they teach me about themselves. But yeah, more so, like I said, he's young, just came in the world. I'm learning a lot about him now. But Cannon, like I said, he's crazy. He gets up and he's just into everything all day long and has so much energy and excitement and the thinker. Always kind of thinking his way through something. And you just kind of sit there and watch in amazement, and just every day you learn something new about him, and it's exciting. It's like all the little things like that in life that you didn't understand or you just thought were simple for you to do, and you're learning how they're learning how to do it themselves. It's awesome. It's crazy to watch. And, they just make you happy. You just look at them and you can be having a rough day, or they could honestly be giving you a rough day, but as soon as they smile, everything changes. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
One thing I learned, I'm not going to say that my upbringing was super stellar by any means. I mean, we had some issues at home, and, I think everybody wants to be a better parent than their parents were, even though our parents, they think they were doing the best they could. I mean, I know that that's something that as a parent, we're going to try that much harder to provide our children with something better than what we had. So with that in mind, how terrifying is it to be a parent?
Oh, it is. Everything that, I thought was, or wondering why would my parents do that, or everything I thought growing up about my parents, totally changes as soon as you become a parent. You're like, oh, I understand. I see. This is not easy. and I'm sure I didn't make it easy on you when I was growing up. So, I think that's actually one thing that the boys have taught Jen and I that, taught us a lot about why our parents are the way they are, or why they did certain things they did. But yeah, it's terrifying. Yeah, you want to be a better parent, but yeah, just you don't even really know what that means. You just know that every single time you get a chance to give them a better life, you do it.
What's one thing that you learned from your parents? And granted, their story is also, it's had its rocky ups and downs and such. But what's one thing that you felt that you learned from your parents that's something that is absolutely vital for you to instill in your children?
I would just say respect for your elders is one. Always respect people around you and who they are. To just be and kind of just be honest in who you are. I think that's one way I grew up, and I always was. I always respected not just my elders, but you respect everybody around you, and that's how you're able to have a conversation with everybody. That's just because somebody's different or plays a different sport, right? There's they can be a friend, right? You can learn about them. You can have all these other opportunities in life if you, just respect everybody around you and want to learn from everybody around you. And then just growing up, my parents were always big too. Everything growing up, was yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And I think that's one thing that goes a long way in life. If you say it and mean it, I still use it to this day with everybody. Anybody, like I said, my elders, and that's one thing I want my kids to do. And my parents always told me, to see things through. So that's just one thing I want Cannon and Easton to do. I want them to see things through, and again, I don't think my parents I really realized this till later on, but to do what makes you happy, and that's what I want my kids to do.
We're talking with Chance Marsteller here. A lengthy conversation going through some of the a lot of the ups, a lot of the downs, and now the bright future with your two kids and your freestyle career. I remember, when you got back on the mat in freestyle, we was in Lincoln in 2017. You're on the same floor as I was. You were doing laundry, and you had a pretty good tournament. I think you finished fourth, if memory serves. And, there was a lot of question marks about what you were going to do. I remember walking past you, and you know what? It was, I remember saying, I was like, it's really good to see you out there wrestling again. Seeing you end your career like that, and then seeing you back on the mat in Lincoln a couple years ago was like, yep, things are going to turn out okay for this guy. So, like I said, it was a pleasure to see you get back on the mat a couple years ago, and again, to see you finish third, and to hear you talk about your children in such a way that, you have come a long way, young man. You've come a long, long way, and you should be proud of everything you've been able to overcome.
Well, I really appreciate that, and there's still a lot more to be done. And I'm just glad I was able to come on, talk a little bit about a lot of the scenarios.
So what's the next thing? Of course, as we wrap up, thank yous, shaking hands, kissing babies. I mean, what's one thing that you haven't had a chance to say in all these postseason interviews that you'd like to say now?
There's not. I really think I've basically said everything I wanted to say. There's still a lot of wrestling left to be done. When I'm done wrestling, I want to coach the highest level. I want to focus on my family. Like I said, I'm focused on wrestling. Right now, like we're going to get ready for the U.S. Open trials and just continue to roll forward from here. And really just thanking everybody around me that has been there for me through this. And like I said, on a couple of things, like on a post I made, like I know who you are, and you know who you are. And it's actually very few people, mostly family, close coaches, close friends, and my fiance and my boys. So, I'm grateful for all of you, and thank you for helping me move forward. And we're just going to continue to go up from here.
The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. Hey, you know what? Did you like the show? You want to hit that subscribe button? MattTalkOnline.com/listen. Various different ways to subscribe to this show on your favorite podcatcher of choice. And if you're already subscribed and you already listened and you love the show and you want to support this show and this network, MattTalkOnline.com/join the team. Become a team member today.